The Pursuing Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and I'm here today with my boy Miles Kilpatrick, current classmate at GSU. He's also a freshman. So Miles, thanks for coming on the show today, man.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Yeah. Like I said, we're classmates. So for everyone that doesn't know, we met our mass commons class, and I found out that Miles was doing his own sports podcast. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, man, because that's what I do too, and we both had the same interest. So tell us, man, what made you want to come to Georgia State, and what inspired you to pick this place? Because you could have went anywhere.
Yeah, as you alluded to, the whole sports broadcasting field. I originally wasn't gonna stay in state. I was gonna go to TSU, but I thought about it, and I didn't think it was my time yet to leave.
Right.
I wanted to. I felt like opportunities like this. We have a whole building where we can go film podcasts, and just Atlanta being the city that it is. I felt like getting into the sports broadcasting field. It was like my thing to stay in Atlanta and kind of see where that goes.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, this is growing into a place where a lot of creative artists, and it's a the booming media culture here, and that's what you love about it. So that's why I'm pursuing the same thing for pretty much the same reason. And hopefully, man, maybe one day we'll both be sitting at ESPN desk somewhere. That's the goal. So just gotta keep going at it, man. But yeah, so like I said, you're a freshman here. So can you talk about how the transition has been? Because it is a big one, going from high school to college, and what's that been like for you?
I would say I'm still transitioning for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I ever stop transitioning, but I think my biggest thing is like the difference in freedom and responsibility. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. There's no parents here telling me what to do, and by that same token, as far as getting work done and all that type of stuff, teachers aren't pushing you. It's on you to do your thing, and I still got to get that down all the way, like being 100% responsible on my own, not missing assignments here and there just because I forgot. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably my biggest issue transitioning is getting that all the way down. But outside of that, I enjoy the freedom too because it gives me an opportunity to really like be who I am, step outside my shell, meet people like you, and meet people across campus to just network and meet new friends. I think that's really, really good for everybody. It's an opportunity to find yourself without the influence of others if you can.
Yeah, and I like what you said there. So far, which one would you say is easier, high school or college?
I honestly say so far college. So far.
Yeah.
So far.
I agree because, like you said, you're not being pressured to really do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like
just manage your time, man.
I mean, because college professors, they don't care whether you do work or not. All that matters is to them. It's like, hey, if he doesn't, I'll just fail him.
Exactly.
And it is what it is. Whereas high school, of course, middle school, like, hey, they're on you about it.
Yeah.
So it's a different dynamic.
I like too the I'm not a morning person at all, and I don't have any classes that start before 11. Versus high school and middle school we're up 8, 9 every day, and it's like for me personally that makes it easier as well because I'm up and active. Like I'm never in class like tired about to go to sleep. Like I'm really engaged with my professors, and that definitely makes it easier. And it's more of what I want to learn about versus high school. Everybody kind of has to learn the same curriculum. Versus here, I'm getting into like the communications classes and things like that. Like that's where I want to be in the future. So it makes it easier because it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, I would agree. And previous education levels before college, like high school, middle school, it's like everybody has to learn the same curriculum. It's like, what are we really gonna use calculus for? Or
I always hear like, when was the last time you used Pythagorean theorem? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Like, unless you plan on becoming an instructor in that field or
but that's
something.
What I'm saying. In college, you can pursue that.
You can.
If you high school, we all got to learn it for what. So.
Yeah, the educational system. But yeah, it's a whole other podcast, man. That's a whole other podcast. So maybe next time we have you on, we might talk about that. But no, man, yeah. So that's like I said, it's good though that you're doing good in your transition because, like I said, it's something that it isn't easy. Going from the environment, switching between these environments. And yeah. So just talk about the dynamic here, versus like previously what you dealt with, like the people? I mean, what about do you like, maybe dislike?
Um, Kind of what I alluded to earlier with the freedom to an extent. Like, it gives me an opportunity to meet people that have similar interests as me,
Yeah.
and it's like overall, it's more of a sense of community and togetherness. Like, the people with similar interests will all be doing the same thing. You have
Right.
opportunity to network, connect, and even just in general, the way they promote different things like football games and things of that nature is everybody gets a chance to interact, and it's really on you to make the best of that. And I like that. Like, more so than high school, they're more intentional with people connecting with other people.
Yeah, yeah, and the promotions of the events, I think Georgia State does a great job of doing. Is they, it's a sense almost like of community, like a brotherhood type, because obviously the student body is huge, as any college is. So it feels more like where, of course you don't know every single person on this campus,
Right.
but it's like when you have things like that, like football games, homecoming events, or whatever it might be. Like we even did something. We went to Six Flags earlier this year. So
Right.
stuff like that, it's like you get to meet, like even that night, like, I got to meet people that I had no idea who they were, and just because like this is so big. But when everybody's coming together like that, it's cool. I like the way they do it here. I mean, they do it at all sorts of colleges, but Georgia State has a way of doing it that I really like.
Yeah,
So
like I honestly forgot about the Six Flags event, but yeah, I had a lot of fun there. Like things like that for them to intentionally, provide transportation and
Yeah.
give us an opportunity to, as a school, experience something like Six Flags together is really cool.
yeah, for sure, it was fun. So yeah, man. But on that note, so talk about how important it is for you, especially right now, just to keep everything, like staying focused, because college you're gonna have distractions, of course. So staying focused and having your priorities straight, keeping everything in line.
Um, I think for me personally, I try to always remind myself to stay disciplined. Like, I'm here to, of course, have a good time as well.
Yeah.
But I'm here to get my degree, get my career started, and I got to remember to always keep that as my top priority. And I feel like with that being, if I'm intentional with that, I'll be okay for sure. And that's really my goal, just to do that, but also balance having a good time at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, staying balanced. Like, that's a key word, man, balance. It's like you don't want too much. Too much of anything isn't good.
Right.
I think people understand, like, because they say, this is the time, like, you have fun, enjoy it now, your 20s, your early 20s, your things like that. Or rather, yeah, your 18 to like early 20s range. College is, you'll never get this time back. Enjoy it. Yeah, and you should. But I feel like there's ways you can do that, but at the same time, still, stay on track to meet your goals.
Don't get like so caught up in having fun and trying to please everybody else that you're sitting here now, you're looking at your transcript and you failed your classes.
Right.
Just get that balance in, because the fun's not going anywhere.
It's not. It literally is not. It will be here.
Yeah.
But that work, I mean, it's piles up and you start failing. I mean, now you're in a bad situation. So it's like, versus if you get your work done, and it's just different for everybody. Everybody's got to find their way, find a routine, find a system for themselves. Have you been able to do that?
To an extent, yeah. I kind of try to manage. We don't see it's not like high school, which is a big thing I'm still trying to get used to, not seeing the teachers every day.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is when I get homework or an assignment from a class, I try to finish it that day.
Right.
So most of the time, I'll be in the library a lot. Just after, I go to the gym pretty much every day, like 6-ish evening time. And after that, I'll either, in my room, library, wherever, do my work for that day. And that's my thing. Try to never get behind. Get the work that day, get it done, and then from there, anything extra I need to do, whether it's studying for a test or reading up on some particular things, I can do that because I got the work done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's like you said, just staying on top, staying ahead. It's important, because if you let things pile up, then you're sitting there like, dang, I got, freaking 5 assignments due tomorrow, and I haven't started on a single one of them because I was doing this, A, B, C, or D. I was out doing this. It's just like, hey, man, if you get it done, then you can enjoy those
Right.
things.
Then you can
like,
go do whatever else you want to do.
But it's just you have to lock in and focus, and it takes discipline. It takes discipline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I always try to remind myself that. I think that's a life thing. Like,
yeah, it
in
is.
order to be successful with whatever you want to do, if you stay disciplined and keep working at it, because even if you're not the best at whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's time management with classes, you stay disciplined, you get better and better every day. You're gonna look back however far in the future and be like, wow, I really made progress. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's just again, this just getting like one step better
yeah,
each day.
be better
It's a
today than you
process.
were yesterday.
Right, it's a process. I look at it like sports, like and it applies for all sports. I mean, you're at the beginning of the season, you're not going to be obviously where you want to be, right? But then once the middle season, end of the season's here, you're
You wanna
at a
look
different
back
spot.
and say, wow, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like that you made progress because you worked, you practiced hard, you paid attention to the film, whatever it might be. You know that you put in the effort to get better, and so that's like, and it's when you know that you did that, bro. The feeling that you get, I know,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you know what I'm talking
Oh, yeah.
about. Like it's
Like, to see it pay off.
yeah,
To see it
it's
pay
a
off.
good feeling. So that's what I like about it too, man. And again, I also like the part about with college, you are on your own, so it forces you to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Decision
I feel
making.
like it's a learning experience for everybody in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're all going from the first 18 years of our lives being under our parents' wing and everything, and now it's like we get thrown into the fire, and how are we gonna handle it?
Yeah. How are you gonna handle it? Well, I mean, because like you don't have mom and daddy here
Yeah.
to wake you up for class or remind you to do your work or hey, you got practice this afternoon, whatever it might be. Like it's like these things, but it's like now you have to be able to again be disciplined enough to get it done and still have time to do whatever else you want to do. So
Yeah.
for sure. But another thing I wanted to ask you about, man, and this is something that is it's a touchy subject, but especially now, I feel like with the way society is going, but in the college sense, we'll keep it in this little realm here. But dating, what is your what is your perspective on dating in college? Like what are your thoughts about that? 'Cause everybody's different on
I
that.
think overall dating has like a negative connotation with college. Everybody kind of tries to push, have fun, have your college experience, live your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in that, it's like implied, don't get into a relationship, don't commit, have fun, quote unquote, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. It works for a lot of people, like you say, your 20s, they push, had the time of your life. But at the same time, I think dating at this age kind of, it's personal for each person.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, I'm in a relationship right now. And I feel like me and my girlfriend both are in a place where we have our priorities straight. It's school first, 100%. And from there, if you can manage and stay disciplined enough with those things, but also have a good, healthy relationship, I don't think college, what environment you're in, changes that, because at the end of the day, that's life. And I know, honestly, like I said, with college being a learning experience, I think it's not going to get any easier as we graduate. You know what I mean? We're going to go into the real world, try to start families and find wives and everything. And it's not going to be any less responsibility as real adults in the world trying to manage, having a good, healthy relationship. So I think it's good practice if that's what you want.
Right, yeah, and a lot of it is subjective and preference based, but for the most part, on the general consensus, most people want that. Like they want a future family, they want to be in a good place, at that point in their lives. So, and once you get there, like you said, that's the real world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary when you think about it in a way. Like, I mean, I know even through high school, like thinking about like in college, like, okay, I'm still going to be, in school and everything. But like after that, man, it's on.
And I think that's my big thing as to why it's kind of personal, individual, if you will, because after this, there's no more school. We're going to walk across the stage from Georgia State. And if that's where we want to be done, we never have to come back. You know what I'm saying? That last summer break is it. And so I feel like if that's where you want to be at, then so be it. But also I would say, like, at the same token, I wouldn't recommend a relationship to everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with you. I don't think as long again, can you handle it? Can you manage it?
And
That's
if that answer is no, there's nothing wrong with that.
not at all.
Like, don't try and be that guy to just, you want to be in a relationship so bad and your priorities get messed up. And now you got a girlfriend, but your grades are, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so it's just finding that balance, and we're gonna you guys can hear us say that word a lot today. Is balance.
Word of the day, balance.
But it's important. Like seriously, it's important because if you don't, everything is all over the place. I'm an organized guy. I like to be organized. I'm tactical. Like I like to have everything, in where I can see and reach. Where it might be like that's how I like to run. I imagine you look like you'd be the same way. So it's like organization is important, and balance is a big part of that. When everything is on a level playing field and you're able to handle everything equally, then I feel like, it's much less stress on you as a person. So, and a student in our case. But yeah, man, definitely for sure. I think that's, it is a interesting thing to talk about. But I don't know, man, it's just weird. Like college it's a different ball game, bro. Yeah. It's so different, and it's being able to just gotta stay on top of everything.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah, balance, man. Balance is key. So talk about, man, though. Like we talked about earlier, networking connections. Building those relationships with people. How for you is that like just crucial, and like do you like just being able to do that here, making new friends, meeting new people, what that could do for you personally?
Well, personally, especially wanting to get into sports broadcasting, I mean, that's extremely pivotal. Half the TV industry and the media industry is who you know.
Exactly.
And so I think that's very, very important. I think opportunities like this for us to meet each other and, okay, we both want to get in sports broadcasting. Let's get on each other's podcasts and things like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that pays out in the end because who knows what podcast I end up on? Who knows who sees what? And then all of a sudden we get calls and things of that nature. So I think it's very important for me personally to network as much as possible. But anybody, whatever field it is that you want, find people that are in that and see what opportunities are given to you and where it takes you. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important. And also, again, the freedom to do it on your own, I think that's huge. Like, if you really want it, go get it. In college, man, it's on nobody but you. So that's one thing I'm really learning with the responsibility again and that adjustment. Like, I got to do stuff for myself, and networking is one of those things. So.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you said, it's not what you know, who you know. We hear that all the time, right? Yeah. And it is true. And more so in particular areas than others. But really, like you said, anything you do, it's just if you meet and find people that, that are in the same field or they're aspiring to get in the same field, then it's only going to help you, both of you, because now you're able to bounce ideas off each other, right. Or you're able to help, you might know someone that can help them, vice versa, right? So it's like it's an ongoing thing. And again, with the huge student body we have on campus, it's like you never know who you're going to meet and run into. And we have famous people that, be coming through all the time, right? So that's a big thing too, man. It's like you just don't know.
You got to take advantage of opportunities when they come in front of you.
You have to. You definitely do. So what would you say would be your least favorite thing about college right now? I mean, 'cause you got to have one, man. Like,
yeah.
Everybody has one.
I'll say, for me personally, I think this isn't even necessarily a college thing, but I learned, with the pandemic and everything, taking online classes isn't for me. Mm-hmm. I feel the need to engage with people in person, have the interaction. In my math class, it's pretty much all online. We're all in the computer lab with a bunch of TAs. and we're pretty much teaching ourselves, and we ask the TAs questions if we have any. And it's been an adjustment for me to like go back to like, all right, I have to teach myself, especially with numbers and things that I don't. You know, math is really like somebody's really supposed to teach you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, really.
So to learn that myself has been pretty hard, and that's probably the biggest takeaway I would have. Like, if anybody's asking me like, what's a big negative? Other than that, I don't have any too much to complain about, and that's still manageable. I just know that really applies in all aspects of my life. Like with a teacher, I want it to be face-to-face interaction, and the you know, being out here on campus, I want to interact with as many people as possible, and being in that computer lab, just glued to a computer, kind of limits that.
Yeah, communication is key, man. You know, like
Right.
people think it's hard in that sense because we live in a digital age now. So it's like everything, you know, it's still important to have face-to-face interactions with people.
Right.
Like, you know, it is important because I feel like you don't really get to know someone unless you're really talking to them like physically. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, it's not the same like through email, through text, through even a phone call, hearing their voice. Like it's something different about being in person. And I feel like COVID as a whole kind of made people lose that a little bit. It made people kind of forget that, push it to the side, and become more isolated. And I know for me, that's one of my biggest things that I would say that's my answer now. Like in college, don't let myself get too isolated. And I got to be intentional with that, you know. There's people around here that are cool, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not all by myself.
Yeah.
So just remember that, and I think I should be good with that.
Yeah, I think that's important too. You know, just knowing, at the end of the day, it's really just about, you know, you just making the effort to go. Even just a simple, hey, like, you know.
It goes a long way.
It goes a long way, right? It sounds silly, but it's true. Like, just a simple hey, you know, or hey, did you did you get the notes from class? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that interaction right there could form a friendship, or it could not. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you're still getting to know somewhat your classmates or anybody you might be seeing a lot. So it's just those little things right there, man. You know, it's little stuff like that. People don't really pay much attention to. And I'm really just starting to think about these things now because I'm taking an interpersonal communication class right now at the moment. And basically what we talk about is like often you just have to be able to properly express and communicate, you know. Like it's important.
I feel like a lot of things, a lot of conflict between people is just really miscommunications and misinterpretations of things.
That's it.
If we're just, you know, you do X, Y, Z, and I feel some type of way about it, but I don't say anything. I communicated about it up front. We get it out the way, we're good. You know what I mean? And it's never good to carry that negative energy around. So I think what you're saying, and you said what class is that?
Interpersonal communication.
Yeah, that's big for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. Particularly, you know, in friendships, relationships. You're in one, like, speak to how, like, you know, that's important, right, for you guys to be able to communicate. That's huge. You know,
I think, like you said, friendships, relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend type thing, family, like anywhere, anytime something goes on and you feel some type of way about it or have any thoughts, questions, like don't just let it sit in your brain because realistically, these people, whoever, in whatever situation we're using, like they want your best interest, you know what I mean? If they're genuine friends, a genuine girlfriend, a genuine family members that you love, you know, just talk it out and everything will be better on the other side versus, especially if, let's say you did something and it made me feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And I say nothing to you and you have no clue. And I'm sitting here soaking in my feelings. I could have said something from the jump, we work it out and it doesn't happen again, you know what I mean? So I think that's big to just, whatever you're going through in life with another person, with another human being, just address it with them.
It's that simple, man. It's really that simple. Like it's not hard at all. Like, and it's, people act like you're asking them to build, like, you know what I'm saying?
And like, what makes it crazier is like, we as humans, we know what we're feeling.
Yeah.
We just don't say it. Just say it. Because again, people have the best interest in you. They're not your enemies. You know what I mean? Just open up and y'all get everything worked out.
Yeah. Even if not, then at least you know that the situation has been settled,
right?
Or to a
like
degree.
You'll have peace with addressing it, even if it's not the outcome you wanted. Okay, you addressed it. Versus you'll never know where it is if you just let it sit in your brain.
Yeah, just closure. Like I think
exactly.
it brings closure.
Exactly.
You know, and so that's why I think you just have to be able to do that. You know, and especially now, you know, you have to as you're meeting so many people, you know, forming friends because this is the time of our lives where you're going to, for the most part, build long lasting
Yeah.
relationships. You know, friendships, things of that nature, connections. You know, it's like now, so you're getting to know these people now, and years from now, you guys can still be friends. But if there's something that they do now and you don't say anything
Right.
until 10, 15 years down the line, like they're like, bro,
What are you talking about?
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like we've been knowing each other since freshman year at Georgia State. Now you're just saying something
Yeah.
about this. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
like I hate when you do X, Y, Z. But you should have told me that back at Georgia State.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm personally me. I would much rather someone be upfront and direct with me about if they have an issue or something like that. You know, just say it.
Yeah.
Like you know, just be upfront, be direct. Because otherwise, I'm not gonna know unless you say it. It's,
I'm not a mind reader,
right.
unfortunately.
As cool as that would be, we
Yeah.
can't do that.
Unfortunately.
Right. So you can't read minds. So you just have to be able to express yourself and properly, you know, communicate. But you know, moving on, man. There's a theory, you know, that basically talks about, you know, as people. We kind of alluded to this earlier, but we tend to associate ourselves, you know, whether that's making friends or, you know, we're attracted to people who we find like us more often than not. So, do you agree with that? Like, do you agree with that theory? You think it's true?
I definitely think so, and I think a lot of the time is unintentionally. Like with us, even I'm in a sports broadcasting, you're in a sports broadcasting, and all of a sudden we're cool, we're friends. And I think that'll happen a lot. We kind of just gravitate towards those people that have similar interests, and I feel like it's just easier to connect with them. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you have this interest, I have this interest, let's connect. Versus if there's somebody I don't have anything, at least up front, anything in common with them, it's kind of a struggle to relate to them sometimes. You know what I mean? But at the same time, though, I think it's good and healthy to have people that aren't always on the same page as you, because it provides like a new perspective, if you will.
Yeah.
To think about things that I wouldn't necessarily think about, but maybe they did. So it goes both ways, but I definitely think unintentionally a lot of the time we gravitate towards people that have similar interests as us.
Yeah, we naturally do. I mean, you know, it just happens that way. You're more likely to befriend someone, you know, that may like the same food as you or
Right.
the same major, whatever, things of that nature. But at the same time, like you said, it's also healthy to, you know, have opposing thoughts, opposing viewpoints, because it can help you understand their way of thinking. And even if you don't agree with it, you know, and vice versa, they can understand how you think on certain things. It opens up it increases your knowledge. And, you know, you should always be looking to do that.
Yeah, that's big. I feel like I didn't even think about it from that perspective, like a knowledge standpoint, like, I guess intentionally increasing your knowledge, hanging with people that don't think like you. The knowledge, like, in every situation, you need to learn something. Every situation,
Whether you good or bad, you know, you learn, and you know, because regardless of the outcome, you learn. Hey, okay, this is this, or maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't do that. Right? So always just constantly learning and growing.
Right.
You know, and you're gonna see as you continue, you know, throughout your collegiate career, you know, you're always gonna continue to grow and learn new things, see new things, meet new people, and it's just like constantly just getting that going to your mind is so important. Knowledge is power, man. I believe it. It's the greatest. Your mind is the greatest weapon you can hold.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, that's what I think.
I agree with that for sure.
You know, because the one can take that from you. I mean, so if you think about it, right? So yeah, man. But the last kind of thing I really want to ask you about was, so we mentioned, like, you know, the people you associate yourself with, right? Now at the same time, you know, having the right crowd, that's a big thing. You know, it's been that way, like, obviously, you know, through growing up, middle school, high school, whatever, but now it's more so important because you're on your own. You're not, you know, surrounded by your parents all the time or teachers. So it's like now you have to be able to make those conscious decisions
For yourself.
to befriend the right people. Like, how, like, you know, talk about that for you and what you think.
Well, as of right now, a big thing that has been working in my favor has been a blessing. I know a lot of people from, that I knew from high school, not even necessarily the same high school as me. Like, we didn't necessarily graduate together, but people that I knew all came to Georgia State together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been a blessing in disguise for me to have those people in my corner. And I already know from the past, like, okay, these are good people to be around. And it's good that we can kind of stick together and keep that going. And as far as, like, one thing I'll say is, for me personally, being intentional, like, when we do things as a group, is that something I really want to do, like, spend my time doing that opposed to, studying, getting ready for a test, things of that nature. And I think as time goes on, I'll get the right mix of, I wouldn't even have to think about it, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It'll just be, like, instantly, like, yes, no.
Yeah.
And so I think that's big. But overall, outside of that group, it's definitely, like, a learning curve of meeting people and really trying to see who they are. And I think that's important, that we make good decisions for ourselves and don't go down the wrong path just by hanging out with the wrong people, you know what I mean? So I think for me personally, I kind of tend to stay to myself more and observe who people are and how they act, who they're around, how they respond to certain things. And if it's people I can, like, click with, vibe with, I'm like, okay, cool. And if not, I kind of try to distance myself. So I think that's my biggest thing, just don't jump into anything too fast. Like, as it pertains to friendships and the crowds you want to, surround yourself with, just I try to tell myself to make sure that these are genuine people that I'm cool with, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I agree with you on that. I'm the exact same way, man. I'm a person, I'm going to observe, when I walk into a room, I want to get a feel for what the
Right.
the air is like. If I feel like it's positive, it's upbeat, it's like people are generally friendly, or what I mean? Like, yeah, I might, and even specifically, narrowing it down to a person. Like, if, I pay attention to how they move, how they interact with others, things that they do, right? Just see, is this someone I want to befriend, someone I want to interact with? And if it's not, then I'm not going to. But if so, then I will, right? So just being able to discern that,
Yeah, discernment is huge for college and life, but
Life.
particularly as you're getting into this new phase of life. My mom tells me that all the time, like, have discernment. And I think if you have discernment, you'll be okay, because you'll be able to discern, you know what I mean? And you see people and it's like, nah, that's not for me. And I feel like that's one thing people struggle with that I'm trying not to get caught up with myself, is don't feel the pressure to please people. Like, if you are hanging with a crowd and then over time you kind of realize, no, this isn't for me, it's okay to distance yourself. I feel like people sometimes feel pressured to, keep a certain image or persona, and they're afraid to distance or remove themselves from something. But there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that at all. And naturally, as humans, we tend to want ourselves to be viewed in a good way, positive face, right? In a sense of, like, we want people to think, good things about us, like, so it's like, naturally, if people are doing, A, B, C, or D, whether it's good or bad, well, we'll say bad in this case. If it's, something they shouldn't really be doing,
Right.
that, but you still go ahead and do it anyway, because you're like, well,
This is my group. Like, I got to
yeah,
go with
it's like,
them.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got to go with them. Like, no, you don't. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with
there's
that.
nothing wrong with that. You can distance yourself. You can say, hey, you know what? I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. It's no hard feelings, nothing personal at all. Just, we got to remember to, like, you know what I'm saying, put what we want first. And I feel like if you do that, it all goes back to the original question, like, how do you do with crowds? If you put yourself first and you surround yourself with people that are okay with that, I feel like it'll be all right.
Yeah, because if you, on the flip side, surround yourself with people that if you were to distance yourself, like, they would be like, oh man, no, you're not, you ain't about it, man.
That's a
Like,
red
no,
flag.
you shouldn't be with those people.
Nah.
That's just, I mean, that should tell you right then and there. Yeah, like you said, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just being able to differentiate between those things, and it's you'll be fine if you're able to do that.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, man, definitely for you, just continue to do that, and it seems like you do a good job of that already. So Yeah, man, just know if you have some type of foundation, morals, something you're grounded in, and the people that you're around don't really fit
Yeah.
that, then don't.
Don't change your morals for people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why? Like, no. Like, why would you do that? It's like there's no reason why I'm going to change what I've been, being raised and growing up to know, to learn, like, this is how I should live my life. And I'm not going to change that because something I've grown up with since
Right.
being little.
Right.
For people that I probably, what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, you have to be able to do that. It's so important. It's really important. It's just huge, especially right now with the way the world, it's that peer pressure, right?
Yeah.
It's a cliche, but peer pressure is real, and
Yeah.
it can get strong, so you have to be able to fight it, so that's my whole thing about it, man. But, but other than that, man, I mean, yeah, like I say, you know, I'm glad you are able to come on this podcast, man.
For
Love
sure.
talking with you.
For sure.
Was there anything that you want to ask me as far as like anything you want to ask me?
I would say, me as a freshman, you as a junior. 2 years in my future, where you are today, what's like pieces of advice you would say that you learned along the way that you would share with any freshman?
I would for Miles and all the other freshmen out there that are watching, listening. I would say you're at a point now where you're just getting your feet wet, right? You're a couple months in, so you kind of got an idea how college works at this point, right? So now from this point on, just set your priorities. We talked about that earlier a little bit. Set your priorities. Know what's important. Know what's not important, and you have to make the decision. On those things, you have to be able to decide. How you want to spend your time, how you want to do these things, the people you want to interact with, or do you want to pursue whatever it might be, like those things, you be able to make those decisions for yourself and make them in a timely manner, be able to make them in a timely manner and know what you want. Know what you want. And I'm not talking about so much a major because things change. But what I mean by that is have an idea of generally what you seek in life. Like have an idea of the type of people you want to meet, be around. Don't just get easily pulled in just because you want to fit in or be cool. Like that's what I would say.
Okay.
And school wise, just stay focused. And have that balance, man. Like we said,
Balance, man.
balance.
Key word.
Have that line, have that fine line. I mean, don't be too over here on this side or too much over here on this side. Stay in between. No, everybody has different, limits or different things. As far as that's concerned. So just know what those are for you, and be able to find a common ground that you can maintain and stay well at. Versus leaning one way or the other too much. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's big. Like something to be intentional with is you talked about yourself a lot in that, like doing things for yourself, finding your line, you know what I mean? And I think unintentionally a lot of the time, especially for myself, but I know people as a whole, we like tend to put others before ourselves in a way of like, oh, let me make sure they got this, they got that. And we kind of we neglect ourselves sometimes. And I think that's big, especially in college. Something I need to be more intentional with, like do things for myself to keep myself, even keeled and at peace, really.
Yeah, and it is very critical because this is your life that you're living.
Right.
So
nobody else can live it for you. Man.
Exactly, and you can't live anyone else's life.
Right.
So that goes in both ways. So it's like it's cool. And again, this is where you have to find that middle ground. Like I'm a person like I don't mind helping people or things of that nature, being supportive. But at the same time, it's like okay, I'd focus on Jaden first, right? And make sure that I'm good. Make sure that because if I'm not at the best level that I can possibly be at this moment, then how am I going to help someone else?
Yeah.
Or be a good friend, good boyfriend, whatever the case might be, right? Good son.
And it kind of shows too, like your energy's different.
Yeah.
When you're not at your best, and people can kind of see that radiating off you. You know what I mean? Versus when you're at your best, it's like vibrant energy. People want to be around you, and it's like that's what you want, and you gotta. I feel like it's big. That's something I gotta be intentional with. You know, when I'm by myself, to get to get to that place where I'm like, okay, I'm the best Miles I can be right now, and let that be available to the world.
Exactly. Be the best that you can possibly be, and I think if we all just lock in and focus on that, no matter what level you're at, then good things will happen for you. So it's just a matter of doing that. And I would say sometimes even it's okay to take some time and just like for yourself, isolate a little bit. Of course, on a positive note, right?
In a healthy way.
Yeah.
Isolate has like a negative connotation to it, but sometimes it's needed, I feel like. And yeah, we can't downplay that, especially not in college in this world of thousands of people. Sometimes you got to get away, and yeah, I haven't really experienced that to the max yet, just getting here. But I gotta kind of, based off what you're saying, I kind of gotta tell myself, if I get to that place, it's okay. Distance yourself, isolate, right. Get yourself back, and then life goes on.
It does. Beat goes on, man. So it's like everything else, like people can wait. Parties can wait. All these things can wait. It's like, you have to make sure you are in the best, mental, physical state, spiritual state, whatever it might be for you.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you're in the best state. Because if not, then it's only going to lead to more problems in your life. And again, like you said, other people are going to start noticing that, and then they're not going to really want to be around you.
Yeah.
And so
you got friendships in your lives, relationships with significant others, and things like that. And you're giving off this negative energy. It's like, everybody else kind of like, distancing, and it's just internal. Just handle it with yourself. Kind of like we talked about earlier, communication with other people and handling that.
Mm-hmm.
You got something internal, handle it with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's big. Look yourself in the mirror and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, because if you just let it sit there unattended, like it'll fester, and it might one day, something will happen that you don't want to happen. It could come out in a way you don't want it to come out. You're going to be in a bad spot. So I would say, the most important thing with that, take time for yourself. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't feel